Sir William CO.
Thank you, Chairman. This is my first contribution to this wonderful bill called the Royal Society of New Zealand Amendment Bill, being introduced by a wonderful member of Wellington area, Grant Robertson, member for Wellington Central. Being my first contribution, Mr. Chair, I have a range of questions that I would like to ask that member there about this particular bill. By way of preliminary, I mean,
the member did address the chair and says to respond and say that they must be pertinent to Clause 8.
Absolutely, Mr. Chairman. They certainly will be pertinent to Clause 8. And Clause 8 is no dividend or profit to members, and there are two clauses. I do want to know, Mr. Speaker, from the member whose bill this is, when it talks about no dividend or profit to members, that is a theme that the humanities teach about protecting the many and not the few, about ensuring that we share our profits for the benefit of all New Zealanders. And will he agree with me, sir, that if more members on that side of the House would have taken humanities at university, would they not then be sharing the wealth with the rest of New Zealand and be aiming to create more jobs, which they are certainly lacking in doing? Would he agree with me on that? Because I think, sir, the humanities, if that member there, if Minister Macaulay had taken humanities, he would have had a plan to create jobs for this country. He would have had a plan to get our economy up, revving and going. But I don't believe he took humanities. And so I want the member to share with us whether he agrees with my premise in that two of section, which says amended by omitting science and technology and substituting science, technology and the humanities. Sir, would he agree with me that if more members of the National Party had taken science and technology, they would have figured out that the debt that they've increased for this nation is going to add more burden not only on the generation of today, but of the next generation in the years ahead, and that they would have figured out a way through taking science and technology and perhaps having a bit of heart if they took humanities to recognise, sir, that simply by, well, Mr. Speaker, I'm asking some questions of the member. As I said to you earlier, this is my first contribution to the bill.
Clause 8.
Clause 8. And so we go back to Clause 8. Again, this is about having no dividend or profit to members. Are the members that this bill talks about, are they specifically for the Royal Society of New Zealand? It is also about ensuring that, is that why then, sir, that you're looking to amend the standard for election of the members of this society to ensure that they do not get, unfair treatment? Would that be right? Because I think amending the election process of council society, sir, isn't that why there are some concerns about why you are changing the way of electing councillors on this? It comes back to Clause 8 of having no dividend profit to members. No dividend. No dividend or profit to members, because the feeling out in the community is that this government is looking after themselves. This government is looking after their buddies, this government looking after their mates, and they're forgetting the reason why they are in government for. That they are in government to ensure that Clause 8, no dividend or profit to members, are there for protecting the interests of the wider community and not necessarily protecting the interests of the wealthy few, as Mr. Morris Williamson there seems so adamant to protect. And so I think, sir, that there's probably more room to extend Clause 8 and add other clauses, simply because I think what Clause 8 suggests, sir, is that under this particular government, the John Key government, we're having to look at ways to protect our society from being undermined by the way this government run roughshods over legislation, the way this government has no particular plan for creating jobs, no particular plan to be able to address the cost of living that many, many families of the length and breadth of New Zealand are having difficulty with.
I'll take the member and the Chair, Grant Robertson.
Thank you very much, Mr Chair. And I do want to respond to the questions that have been raised by my colleagues Ian Lees-Galloway and Sue Williams-Sear, although I think at the outset I should clarify that the Minister who was interjecting on Sue Williams-Sear was Maurice Williamson, not Murray McCully. There are few insults that cut deeper than that, I have to say, than to be called Murray McCully. So on behalf of the Labour Party, I apologise to the Minister for such a egregious insult. The question that Sue Williams-Sear was asking was by bringing the humanities in, does that add an element of which the question of there being no dividend to members is different? And in a sense, the answer to the member's question is no, because the current Clause 8 in the Act that has been amended by Clause 8 in this bill actually states quite clearly that the income and property of this society must be applied solely towards the objects of the society, and no portion of the income may be paid directly or indirectly by way of dividend, bonus or otherwise to members. So it's actually quite clear, it's comprehensive. What Section 8 of the Act then does is list off a series of exceptions for where money can in fact be paid to members. Now, before I come back to what those exceptions are, it is worth clarifying again, for another question that Sue Williams-Sear asked, the nature of who are members of the Royal Society. And we are going to come in future clauses, I hope to be able to go through this in some detail. The different kinds of members include the Fellows of the Royal Society, and they are people who, there is quite a process to become a Fellow of the Royal Society. No, you haven't quite made Fellow of the Royal Society, Mr Quinn. In fact, I'm looking here at the list of people who can be members of the Royal Society, and unfortunately we get all the way down to subclause H and there's no description of fools. So no fools allowed in the Royal Society at all, so Mr Quinn's out. But what there is in the membership of the Royal Society are fellows, ordinary members, companions, and then constituent organisations, honorary members and honorary fellows. Now, one can apply to be a member of the Royal Society, and Mr Quinn may choose to do that at some point in the future. So none of those people... I have a membership list here, Mr Quinn. Would you like me to read through it? No, I don't think we'll find Mr Quinn in the Royal Society's membership. If he is, however, I may choose to withdraw my sponsorship of the bill, concerned as I would be about the standards of the Royal Society. So Clause 8, Mr Chair, says that those people who I've listed off as members, not Mr Quinn, but the Fellows, the ordinary members and the companions, cannot have dividend or profits from the Royal Society, except where the remuneration is returned for services rendered or goods supplied. Now, one example of this would be if a member of the Royal Society or a Fellow of the Royal Society was on a panel that was choosing one of the award winners, perhaps the Rutherford Medal or something like that, and they would no doubt have costs associated with serving on those panels, and therefore they would fall under what is now 8.2a in the current Act, that they would have some recompense from the Society for doing that. So that's the exception to this overall rule that there shouldn't be any dividend or profit given to members. The other specific area that's worth noting is what is now subclause 8.2d, which is the grant of awards or prizes. So they're in fact the members, the fellows, the companions of the Royal Society who actually win a prize from the Royal Society. I'm not sure Mr Quinn has been awarded any medals by the Royal Society, but others have been. For example, the Rutherford Medal, which is the preeminent medal awarded by the Royal Society, has gone to people like Richard Fall, Paul Callaghan, the Prime Minister's Science Advisor Peter Gluckman, Alan MacDiarmid, the renowned physicist. These are people who have won the Rutherford Medal and are in addition, in fact all of those people are in addition. Yes, I'm sure there have been. I will come back to that. I'll come back to... Thank you for asking me the question, Mr. Quinn. I'll come back to that in a future call to answer that question. Not enough women, I say to Louise Upston, not enough women have been given awards by the Royal Society because, sadly, science does not have enough women in it. Actually, adding the humanities in will broaden the number of women who will be eligible for medals, but in fact one of the awards, Mr. Quinn and Ms Upston, that is given out by the Royal Society is the Dame Joan Metch Award for Social Sciences. Now that's an award that is given for excellence and achievement in the social sciences. Interestingly, already one of the prizes and awards that's available to members of the Royal Society, Mr. Chair, just briefly, Mr. Chair, thank you. One of the awards that is available to members of the Royal Society at the moment is in fact the Humanities Aranui Medal. So actually the Royal Society has been getting on with integrating the humanities inside the Royal Society while we work our way carefully through this bill. So that medal and that award is already available, and that would be an example, Mr. Chair, of a dividend or profit going to a member of the Royal Society when they received, for instance, the Dame Joan Metch Medal for Social Sciences. So they are the main classes by which members can receive a profit or what could be considered a profit or a dividend of the society. Another one, which is an interesting exclusion, is the payment of the repayment of money borrowed or the payment of interest on money borrowed. Now it seems an odd thing to think that the Royal Society may at some point have to borrow money from people, and I haven't got an explanation for how that's come to be part of the Act. I presume perhaps at the beginning of the establishment of the Royal Society there may have been a need for the Society to borrow money off individuals, perhaps at a branch level where there is smaller operations that may occur from time to time. But I myself thought there was a curiosity to see that within the current Clause 8 to B, that one is. So that is the main reasons that people can get dividend or profit out of the society are for the work that they do, perhaps on behalf of the society, both in terms of being on panels that award medals. Also, the Royal Society undertakes research and advocacy into certain areas, and where that work takes people away from their regular work, they do get recompense. I know in a previous life before being in Parliament, when I worked for the University of Otago, there were a number of Otago University academics who spent time on Royal Society projects, and the university will have been reimbursed for that time by the Royal Society. So that's the kind of activity that is done here. And that's really to answer Mr. Lees Galloway's question about what would be an example of that. And then the other part of it is those who win the grants of awards or prizes. And Mr. Chair, just in the brief time I have remaining in this call, it's worth noting that the range of prizes and awards and medals that the Royal Society give reflects incredibly well on the scientific and now humanities communities of New Zealand. The standards and the people who have received those medals and awards and therefore got some financial gain as allowed for under Section 8 of this bill is a catalogue of some of the highest quality science and innovation that you could see anywhere in the world. And the Royal Society plays an excellent role in fostering that and ensuring that there is financial reward for those people, because science and the humanities in particular are often fragile existences. People are trying to have a career, and Dr. Chowdhury knows this, people are trying to have a career in academia. They're required to do teaching, they're required to have other responsibilities within their academic institutions, and the ability to then undertake the kind of groundbreaking research that we need in New Zealand to foster innovation and to grow our economy, those people need some financial recompense for that. And it's the Royal Society that from time to time can give that financial recompense. And I do know that the Rutherford Medal, which I mentioned before, has a significant financial benefit associated with it. And that's why it's gone to scientists of the calibre of Richard Fall and Paul Callaghan Peter Gluckman, because it's enabled them to push ahead with groundbreaking research that's outside of their normal employment within the academic institutions that those gentlemen all work in. And I think that's why it's important that we have Clause 8, because it makes sure that we're clear that nobody's in the Royal Society just to make money. It's not about the profit, but in fact there will be occasions such as winning awards and prizes when money that the Royal Society has generated will go to members. So I think it's a very well-crafted clause, Mr Chair. What we're doing now in terms of updating the Act is to include the humanities alongside science and technology among the classes of members who will be able to get that financial benefit. And as I think I've said in a previous contribution, Mr Chair, I look forward to the day when the preeminent medal of the Royal Society, the Rutherford Medal, goes to someone from the humanities. That will be a